Real estate commission if the buyer has no agent. Hey folks, today we're going to answer this frequently asked questions by first-time sellers or sellers just considering putting their home on the market and they need a bit of a refresher. Well, typically what happens is if you speak with a traditional realtor, they will give you an exclusive right to sell listing agreement, and that agreement will usually just have one specific commission rate that the seller is expected to pay, and this rate, while it can vary and is negotiable, you often see that it's 6% on across the country. That's really the average, and you see this number on television. And traditional brokers will oftentimes, try to make it seem like a rule, even though it's not. It's not a rule, law, regulation, or anything like that. But that is sort of the number that's most often quoted. And this specific percent, if you take a look at your listing agreement or a traditional listing agreement, is paid if the property sells. So it makes no reference to, whether the buyer has an agent or doesn't have an agent. Oftentimes, these agreements will also specify that, hey, the agent will be responsible for co-broking or splitting of commission per local MLS rules, but it doesn't really specify anything more than that, only the specific percentage. So for example, 6%, could be 5, 6, or 7, whatever it might be, to the seller, that the seller pays if it sells, regardless of what happens. So there you have it. I mean, that's basically the answer is, if the buyer doesn't have an agent, you still be expected to usually pay that same 6%, whether the buyer has an agent or not. Now, with that said, there are ways around this. Hauseit offers two discounted listing services. One is a do-it-yourself agent-assisted FSBO listing service where you pay a small flat fee to get your property listed on the local MLS plus hundreds of third-party websites. It's an industry-standard listing syndication service, gets you in all the same places as you would if you had paid 6%. And the difference is once you receive the inquiries, it's up to you to take it from there. But if you find a direct buyer, you save all 6% in commission. You only pay a buyer agent commission, for example, 3% or 2.5%. To buyer's agents if you decide to accept and sell to a represented buyer. We also have a discounted full service listing option where one of our listing brokers will provide full service for you, just like a traditional full service offering. They'll do everything from showing the property, marketing the property, all open houses, anything to do with a purchase application, guiding the buyer through that, referring you to any relevant service providers, and generally being a guide with you throughout the process. And instead of charging 6% regardless of what happens, our listing brokers keep 1%, and you still want to offer something market rate to buyers brokers. So for example, 2.5% or 3%, depending on the market norms for your area. And if we find a direct buyer, the listing broker will waive that 1% and only keep the buyer agent fee. So in that example, instead of paying 6%, you would pay more likely 3.5%. So if you 1% to the listing broker plus 2.5% to a buyer's broker, for example, and only 2.5% if the buyer came direct and there's no buyer's broker. So there you have it. We hope you found this video helpful. Leave us a comment if you have any questions. We cover all of New York City, all 5 boroughs, plus Long Island and the Hudson Valley. We're based here today in Miami, Florida. We cover all of Southeast Florida, Miami-Dade County, Broward, Palm Beach, Martin, and St. Lucie counties. My name is Chris at Hauseit, and we'll see you on the next one.